Hey everybody, Drew here, and you are in my garage. This is a 1999 Dodge Dakota with a 3.9 liter V6. Just want to throw it out there in the beginning. As some of you know, if you're subscribed, which if you're not, please do. We're mostly a Prius dealer. We own a small car dealership, and we do mostly Prius and other Toyotas and some Hondas and stuff like that. It's very unusual to find a domestic truck, especially of this age. Long story short, bought this as a plow truck, didn't end up using it as that, so now I'm sprucing it up for a family member to have as an extra vehicle. And I went to do the valve cover gasket, and I was just mind blown with how, I don't want to say difficult. I mean, it's not a job that can't be done, but just miserable, unnecessarily miserable of a job it is. This is after it's all back together, just FYI. I thought I could put together a better video for you guys this way. So as you see, it's virtually impossible to clear out all this stuff. This is a wiring harness here. I'm not sure if you can see this. It's right there. That's a wiring harness that in theory you need to remove. Stay tuned. I'll explain why you don't have to. This wiring harness, which is just the negative battery terminal, and then where it splits off and goes into the fuse box, I did remove that. So there are a couple of these spark plug wire holders that are going to be in your way. We're going to go through all of that. So first and foremost, this wiring harness, this big one right here, and it goes in between the intake manifold and the valve cover gasket. It has these plastic tabs that loop around the top of these, they're studs. I'm not sure if you can see right there. It's a little bit blurry, I apologize. There you go. So they're studs, and these loops go around them. I'm very, very, I guess, pro keeping things the way that they're engineered and built. In this particular case, there is no reasonable way to do this job without breaking those loops. The wiring harness can't move either way. The loops do essentially nothing. I mean, there's a chance that they were there, you know, for the manufacturing process itself, but not the longevity of the vehicle. Either way, even if this was the year 2001 and this was a 2-year-old truck, not almost 2023 and a 24-year-old truck, I would still break those tabs. There's no purpose for them as far as I could possibly see. And for what it's worth, I've built, you know, hot rods from the ground up that, you know, have 15,000 miles on the build, and they're fine. So that's just my opinion. So there's going to be this bolt here, and then the bolt that wrench is on have those tabs. I just took a long straight blade screwdriver, broke the tabs. There was this long hose right here, and this guy broke. It's like Bakelite from a 1930s Ford. I have no idea what it is, but I'm going to epoxy that all back together. It's just the breather for the crankcase, but it's a horrible kind of plastic. So that has to come out. There's these spark plug wire gizmos, and if you look inside, there's like little teeth. You just get a screwdriver in there, twist it, and they slide right off of the back bolt that's on the bottom side of the valve cover, like right where my pinky would be. So on the end of the valve cover, and then there's one on, I believe it's that screw right there. As you see, that's paper towel, by the way. I use that to wedge in the socket to, you know, hold it into and put it down there. So what you're gonna do is once you get all that off, and again, this is a 10mm bolt here. Those are 7/16, and yeah, it's a Dodge from this era, so half it's metric, half it's not. So 10mm, 10mm, get this out of the way, wedge it behind the steering. I took off those two spark plug wires and labeled one with an R, one with an F, front and rear, got those out of the way. And if you do everything I just said, you're going to be able to lift the front of the valve cover up, probably by the oil cap. That's how I did it. And what I did is I held that up with my right hand as I slid my left along the front of it until I was almost under the back. Then I took my right hand and I lifted up, right? So the front has to come up, like way up, into this space that you create here, and then you got to fight against, there's like a vacuum line, a coolant hose, a fuel line, all that. There's more than enough wiggle room in those to fight the back up so it clears the rockers, and then you're just going to pull out this way. So literally like up and out. And the other thing to keep in mind is this is the old gasket. It's metal with rubber on it. This is the new one, by the way. This is Felpro number VS50420R. You definitely want to get these. There is, I mean, it's impossible and a stupid amount of work to use form in place gasket or RTV, which is actually better than those. You know, being a big Toyota fan, that's how everything's put together in these, and they like that one has 200,000 miles on it, my truck, and it doesn't leak. You can't do that because you have to set it down straight on. There's no like wiggling. If you wiggle, you mess up the bead that you made, and then you have a leak. So definitely order that Felpro part. These last. They're really good. Or, you know, get another brand, whatever. But when you put it back in there, I wanted to take the nuts off the studs. Instead of the nut coming off the stud, the whole stud came out, every single one of them. I was going to take the nut off and use the studs to kind of align the gasket, but I found that was impossible, or at least not worth my time, and the gasket kind of set in the right spot anyways. And then it was the opposite. I put the back in first and shoved it down at that 45-degree angle toward the back, got it to clear, you know, over the rockers and go down, and then the front followed it. I just had to lift that harness with the tabs that I told you about, the one that runs in this V. I had to lift that out a little bit. I just reached in there and grabbed it and pulled it to get the valve cover to seat properly. So the only thing I have left to do is put back a few of these things and torque down those screws, which when I find that torque measurement, God willing I do, will be in the description. So just want to throw it out there, guys. You know, as a professional, right? I mean, I've done insanely hard jobs, and you know, there's jobs that almost make you want to cry. They're so bad, but you get through them. If you're watching this and this looks really intimidating, I just want to tell you, there's nothing about me that's, you know, I wasn't born special or anything like that. I mean, no special tools were used in this process. I mean, I love my Milwaukee, you know, time and elbow and shoulder saver there, but you know, this was just socket wrenches, screwdrivers, and stick-to-itiveness. There's a good word for you, right? Just sticking in there. If I can do it, guys, so can you. So this is just a little bit about the valve cover on a 3.9-liter Dodge V6. In this case, again, is a Dakota. One last thing, by the way, this air conditioning harness is very strange. I'm going to put a link to another video in the description on how to unplug that. You will have to unplug that as well. But if this video helped you, you know, the goal of it's not to show you me doing it or step by step. It's just to show you what you're up against and talk to you about how to get through it. So if it did help, I'd appreciate if you give the video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. So the entire purpose of this channel is showing you guys how to get through jobs quickly, efficiently, and dare I say professionally, right? To do the job right. And a lot of times you'll find jobs, you know, I have a bunch of them on the Tundra that, you know, the Toyota manual says to do it one way, and I show you guys how to do it 100% properly and skip some major steps. In one case, it said to pull the engine and the transmission, and I did it in half the time without. So if that's something you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel and feel free to share videos. I try to be active in the comments, so go ahead and chat it up if you'd like. And again, I'm Drew. Hopefully this is helpful. God bless you. Take care.